So we're back on the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And Crystal, who do we have in the studios today?
We have a young lady who's, and I think she's the first person I've met that has this type of business. I'm sure there are many others, but especially that looks like me. So, so that's all I'm concerned about. Sorry about that, people, but that's the truth. So Miss Tonda Linsey.
Yes.
Okay, she is a former police officer, female self-defense instructor, sexual assault advocate, and entrepreneur. With over a decade of policing experience in Metro Atlanta, Tonda witnessed up close to the tragic effects of what can happen when women and girls alike are not equipped to deal with threats to their safety. While transitioning out of law enforcement, she decided to officially do something about this issue and empower females around the country in self-defense. She initially consulted and trained with one of the nation's go-to experts, Steve Cardian, on issues of women's safety. After that experience, she combined her knowledge, coupled with her personal experience and police officer training, to birth Empowered Defense in 2013.
Beautiful.
So welcome, and this is her book, everyone.
Yeah.
If you can see it, there you go. Her book called Fear.
Fear.
Fear, Modern Day Woman's Self-Defense Guide.
Welcome to the Business Zone.
Welcome. So happy to have you.
This is the book right here.
Yeah, this is cool. So tell us a little bit about you. That was a nice transition from law enforcement. Usually there's security companies and stuff but from law enforcement to self-defense.
Yeah, so as I was transitioning out of almost an 11-year career in law enforcement, I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to abandon everything I learned, all of my experiences and training in that field. And fast forward to self-defense came up, and specifically for women and girls, because there was such a need. I used to train field officers in the field. And so I knew I was good at teaching. People were really receptive to me. I enjoy, sharing knowledge. I'm an information junkie.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So are we.
Yes. So, you know what? I prayed about it, and self-defense came up. I found some techniques that were valuable that actually worked. And more importantly, that people can learn quickly and remember in times of stress. Yeah. Right. And I coupled that with my training and, everything that I had already and birthed Empowered Defense in 2013. Right. And so I educate, train, and empower women to be able to save themselves.
Do you have videos?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Is it on YouTube, or do you package it to sell?
There's some on YouTube. I have a reel. But if you follow me on Empowered Defense at Instagram and on Facebook, there's definitely, and go to the website, you can see more pictures and video there.
What's the name of your website?
It's myempowereddefense.com.
myempowereddefense.com.
Yes, and actually, if you just text FFEAR to 31996, I have a tutorial video, just a brief one that you can see, and get logged in. And I'll.
So before I get into your business and start delving into your skills, your expertise, and all of that, you started a business, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
It's funny because my very first business officially was a laundromat.
Oh, really?
That's not a bad thing.
Well, it wasn't a experience that was in vain, but it definitely was a learning experience. But I never planned on staying that long in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had a 3 to 5 year plan. And
I like it, a girl with a plan.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was supposed to go to law school. That didn't happen. So maybe phase 4, I'll go back to law school. But I was looking for a business, and I was trying to transition out of law enforcement because I was rounding up that 5th year,
See?
And so I was doing research. I started going to conferences and, finding mentors and really just diving deep in real estate. Yeah. And so, a laundromat was my first business.
Really? Was it profitable?
No. And I had to sue the owner. That's a whole nother story.
So it was a messy transaction to start, so
Yes.
that's probably why
But
it wasn't profitable.
in that season of my business career, my life, I learned so much.
Yes.
Like I got closer to God. I learned to
Yes.
listen to myself, which is also part of self-defense
Oh,
and
yeah.
trusting
Oh,
your
yeah.
gut.
Got to trust that gut.
So not only does that happen in self-defense, but it's holistic, and
Yeah.
that's what kind of classes I teach.
Yeah.
You know, these are life principles.
Yes.
So when something doesn't feel right,
Yes.
when something is not, lining up, you need to trust that and go with it, even if you can't explain it right then and there.
And you know our system is designed specifically for that,
Exactly.
right?
There are literally mind-body connections.
Yes,
There are
yes.
so many things within your gut. Now, I'm
Yes.
not no doctor or nothing
Right.
like that, but, that's part of the body is so amazing.
Exactly.
There's so many things.
But even as a police officer,
Yes.
you have heightened sense, and you learn to
Yes.
recognize those.
Absolutely.
in order to protect yourself, right?
Yes.
So it's
You
the
need
same.
fear.
you
That's
need
why
fear.
I named the book F Fear.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Now, what's the F for?
The F is for. Thank you, Gilbert. So the F is for face. Now you
Okay.
can say the other F, but I didn't name the book that. I wanted to keep it PG.
The empowered part is
Yeah. Now you can replace that F with whatever you want to. But it's called face fear because the only way to get on the other side of fear is to face it.
Gotta
We have to
face
go
it.
through it. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
that journey. You need fear to really protect yourself.
Right.
But you have to learn to use it to benefit you.
Right.
Otherwise, that predator is going to use it against
Oh,
you.
for sure.
exactly.
For sure.
So, what
I love
would be
that.
some of the things when young woman? Let's go with young women because they might not have the same.
It's not the same as when I grew up.
Right, exactly, and those of us
Do
of a
things a
certain
little
age,
differently.
we the sirens go off immediately
Yes.
when you hear certain things in conversations. But I don't know if our children or our young girls and young women are in tune to that. So, what are some of the things that they should listen to? The first step in their body.
So I'm going to give you something that's easy to remember. Now, in class, I tell women and girls alike to keep their head on a swivel. And what that basically means is you need to know what's going on around you.
Yes.
Now, swivel, I broke down into an acronym because honestly, I came up with it to help me and to help my students.
Okay.
Because I was even having trouble remembering all the self-defense principles to teach.
Okay.
And I'm like, God, you're going to have to help me out here because I need something that will help me help them.
Right.
So swivel is what I used to say. And then I came up with this acronym. So the S stands for scan your surroundings. And the W is we, not me, which means there is power in people. You need to, if you're with people, stay with them.
Right.
If you are not with people, go towards people because there's power in numbers. The I is intuition. Trust your intuition. Trust your gut. That is your God-given alarm system.
Right.
So intuition needs to inform your decisions.
Right.
The V is for voice speaks victory. You need to use your voice. There's so many tools that you have within yourself without outside weapons. You need to learn how to use them. So voice speaks victory. Let people know, look, you don't need to come any closer to me.
Right.
Now, if they do, that should send off some flags because
Right.
you need to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Right,
That's what you
exactly.
said earlier, right?
All right, we're
Exactly.
stay ready so you know how to get ready.
Right.
The E is for escape. You need to
Yeah.
know your exit. You need to know how you're going to get out of a
Right.
situation.
I'm
So
loving
so
this.
there's layers to that.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I'm
the
loving
L
it.
is levels save lives.
Wow.
Now, what do I mean by levels? Levels are boundaries. So if somebody has to go through so many steps to get to you, you are a hard target,
Right.
which is what you want to be.
Right, 'cause
They
then
don't
they
want to
won't-
exert that much
love
energy.
that.
Right.
So predators and people who are looking to take advantage of others, they go after easy targets.
Low hanging fruit. That's what
Exactly,
they're
the
looking
low-hanging
for.
fruit.
Yes.
So what you want to do is implement levels
Yes.
and boundaries
Yes.
to protect yourself.
Right.
So keep your head on a swivel.
Oh, that's
swivel
beautiful.
to safety.
I love that.
I love that. And that's one of the things my sister attends that my brother-in-law is always teasing her. She goes, you never are aware of your surroundings. But me, when I hit wherever I am, I know what color people are. I think at some point I probably should have been a police officer or a detective
Yes.
because I can tell you, and they'll go, but I'll say, do you remember so and so and so? They had on red shoes and a blue jacket, and their hair was fixed. She goes, how do you remember all that stuff? Or how do you know that?
Yeah.
It's
Women
because-
naturally have that instinct and those skills.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've put this to the test before, right? You walk in a room and a woman will be in that room and a guy will come in and they'll just look at him 2 seconds, and
Oh,
they
yeah,
can tell
you
you
know
a
in a
lot
minute.
about it.
You know
He's wearing,
immediately.
he's wearing gray. You know,
You have to
he's
pay
5,
attention.
he's 5'11".
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you keep your eyes, especially if you're there's interest, you keep your eye on.
So women naturally have those instincts.
You have those,
So,
and
yeah.
I've used them for my networking. When I go into a networking event,
Yeah.
I
Who's
kind
in the
of
room,
scan.
right?
I scan the room to
Yeah.
know who I
Yes.
need
Who's
to.
in the room?
One, who I know, and then secondly, who I need to know.
Yes.
And if there's somebody in there that needs to get me to somebody else,
Right.
so that's my technique for
Yes.
force, and I'm very good at
That's
networking.
amazing.
But we have so many things about us as women and girls that we just don't realize, and we need to use our strengths for us and use them against a man's weaknesses.
Yes.
Right.
So you can't fight a man like a man.
No.
You
No.
have to use what you already
Psychology.
have. Take what you have and use it to
Yeah.
your advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is so beautiful. We should try to get her in on one of our workshops.
Yeah. So
Anytime I can, spread the word and spread this wealth, I'm open to it. So I just really appreciate it.
Is your business located here in Los Angeles?
I am nationwide. I am based here. I'm a Georgia girl.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, Georgia girl in a Cali world.
I hear that.
But I actually just came back from Charlotte. I taught a workshop there at the Black Girls Run conference,
Oh,
Sweat
okay.
with Your Soul.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was amazing. So I travel to different groups around the country
Right.
and, teach self-defense. I speak. So, yeah.
And so what do
I'm
you,
mobile.
What do you teach in your self-defense classes?
I start women off in the workshops basically in the worst position possible, which
Okay.
is you are about to get raped. Now, that's a little unorthodox. People might be like, okay, what? That
Right.
makes no sense.
But it can happen though.
mentally,
So, yeah.
Yeah.
if you know that you can get out of the worst position possible, that everything that is going to lead up to getting to that level 10,
right.
mentally you're like, oh, I got this. So it's a mind thing. Self-defense is a mindset.
Yes.
It's not just when you physically defend yourself.
Right.
Really, that's the last thing you want to be,
Yes.
position you want to be in.
Right, right.
Okay.
The mindset is everything.
And then-
awareness and intuition.
And then the thing is, once you practice that over and over, then it becomes muscle memory. So
Exactly.
you don't even have to think about, because when we, like you said earlier, when we experience fear, then we throw everything out the window and we try to do something that's not supposed to be a part of the plan.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's how we get hurt.
Trying to decide in the moment something
Yes,
is happening is
exactly.
too late.
But once
you
it
have to
becomes
have a
muscle
plan.
memory,
Yes.
yes.
And
So
of course,
I like
every
what you do.
situation is not going to be the same,
No,
but you
no.
have a baseline, something to work from,
Yes.
and you adjust.
Yes.
And that's part of the fear part. It's like you want to expose yourself to as many scenarios as possible,
Yes.
and visualization.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have to a space to physically practice something,
Yes.
if you just sit there and visualize. You winning, you having victory, you surviving, you figuring out what would I do if then what,
Yes.
that's powerful
This
too.
is
So
amazing.
it's so
This
many
is
ways
amazing.
you
Yes.
can protect yourself and give yourself a leg up,
Right,
an advantage.
right.
And to prevent that from happening.
Yes, reducing your risk is the key.
And then if it does happen, so we all know that just with what has gone on with the Me Too movement,
Yes.
with Robert Ailes, was it Roger Ailes and all of those, not after it's happening, what are their steps? And I know a lot of people don't want to tell anybody because one, they're embarrassed
Yes, yes.
that they allowed it to happen. They take blame for that.
Well, it's not that they allow it. It just
They feel that they've allowed it. They feel
Yes.
that they've allowed it
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
That there
Yeah.
could have been something they could have done,
Right.
but of course they're paralyzed with fear, and then some
You
other
never
things.
can control what another man does.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
So anybody who has been in that situation, just know it is not your
Yeah,
fault
right.
ever.
Right.
But you don't have to stay where you're at. You have the power still
Right.
to dictate how you move forward
Right.
and how your life will be moving forward. And it's a process.
Right, right.
So there are resources out there, and it's normal. Also know it is normal to feel that way, to
Yeah.
feel defeated, to feel angry, upset, like blame yourself.
Yeah.
Those are all normal feelings.
Right.
But you don't know because in your head you may feel like it's only me.
Right.
But there are resources, there are support groups out there. There is a national sexual assault hotline out there as well, and domestic violence. And there are trained practitioners and resources that are available in your area. They will help you walk you through the process to getting help and on the other side of what you're going through.
Now,
please, please, please just go to a hospital, take somebody with you,
Yeah.
because that is a daunting process of
I
getting
want you to
that
look
rape
into the
kit.
camera and tell them, because they need to know this.
Where are we? Right
your
here?
camera
Yeah,
is
right here.
Right
This-
here. That's your camera.
There are resources out there. You are not alone. Talk to somebody. And recently, somebody shared with me that they did report it, and they went to the police station, and the police officers, detectives, made them feel like that they couldn't prosecute this person
Right.
because they weren't going to win.
Yeah.
It's not about the win.
Right.
Get your story out there, get your statement out there, and force that hand of that police officer or whoever is taking the report. They just want the easy way out.
Right.
It's about
Make them
reporting
do their
it
job.
because they don't just rape one person.
Right.
Get your story out there. Have somebody go with you. Call the hotline. Go get your rape kit at the hospital.
Yes.
And no matter what anybody tells you, just keep pushing forward.
Definitely.
Time is of the essence as well.
Yeah, so they need to right away.
Yes.
And I'll be able to do that. I saw, and this is based upon a true story. It's a Netflix original that came out last week. I think it's called Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was just blown away. This person it was a serial rapist, but he was so good at it. And the reason he was so good at it, and this took place, one of the rapes took place, the first opening one, it was like 3 different cases going on, or 4 different storylines, but one of them took place in the state of Washington. And but he only stayed there for a short period of time, and he raped a young lady in her house. She was a emancipated minor, and she was living in an apartment that other emancipated minors were living there.
Wow.
And he came in quietly. Nobody saw anything. He left no DNA, nothing. And as the story evolved, and so she went to the police because she was just. I mean, he kept her there for like 7-8 hours.
Wow.
And so when she called one of her former foster parents, mom, and she came and they called the police. And they're like, well, they went on forever. And finally it's like, we're going to close the case. And the police officers, unfortunately, they were males. And so they kept saying, well, this makes no sense. So you must be lying. Right. And so she felt so bad about it. And the damage
of shame.
is a lot of shame. And the damage that took place. So one, she was violated by the
perpetrator.
The perpetrator.
Which is why people don't report it.
Right. And then she was violated again by the police officer because they were males.
Yeah.
So, and then the story moves to Denver, to Colorado.
Yeah.
And then these police officers were women. So they were like, oh, no, we can't. And then they determined that this man had been raping women.
Yeah, it's been
but
doing
what
it
he
for a
had
while.
found, what they found was on the internet, in the dark web, some police officer had written, I guess for his colleagues and for those that actually work those type of cases, a manual on what to look for. The perpetrator, he got that book, and it's in the dark web. So it's anybody that's of that nature, and he studied it, and so and that was why the police they couldn't find anything because he did everything that they told him that you should be looking for, and it took years.
Now, those are very rare cases.
Right.
I just want people to know the main predators out there are people
That
in your backyard.
Right? People that you know.
Yes.
Friends of the family.
Friends,
or something
your
like that.
spouse, your neighbor, your coworkers, people who you're acquainted with, that just may be around.
Yes.
Those majority of the time are those perpetrators, which makes it even more difficult.
Right.
Because you lower your defensive mechanism.
Yes.
You're welcoming them.
Yeah.
And then and I would imagine you're also afraid of what the retributions will be afterwards if there's somebody that you know and that are connected to especially on the internet. We're all connected, not even 6 degrees anymore.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's so many emotions, but that's why I want people today to decide to get your group together who's going to be your go-to, because not only is there power in numbers to help protect yourself, but if something happens, you need that support group. It's like, look, this is my safety net. When you have people go with you, it makes it a little bit easier to move through that because you're not alone.
Right.
So you need people you can trust. And if you don't have anybody, then there's hotlines there as well. And I'll give you that.
Everyone, this is a business zone with
No.
What happened?
Oh, because
How do I stop this?
for whatever reason you stop, you have to go back. So,
So, really quickly, the hotlines for sexual assault are 1
what's going on?
1-800-656-HOPE, and that's 4673. And then for domestic violence, it's 1-800-799-7233. So SAFE, spell out SAFE.
Safe.
Excellent.
Okay, and I'll put that in the description box on
Excellent.
the show. So let me ask this: so do you? So obviously, people reach out to you to have you conduct a workshop,
Yeah.
defense workshop. Do you have any of your own? Do you?
I do, especially in April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Okay.
So I usually try to put on a class, of my own in the area, either here or Atlanta. I've done them in both. But yes, I do my own, but not consistently.
Okay.
So in between, when people aren't, having me out for their own groups, then I'll put some classes together.
Right.
Okay. No, that's
I
excellent.
think this is amazing what you're doing
Thank you.
in a lot of ways. One as an entrepreneur, two as a woman, three helping other women. Four, you're disseminating information that a lot of women don't know. They don't know what to do. So this is very helpful. And then on top, you got the videos and all of that.
Yeah.
too.
And I do want to make something a point, because I heard you guys mention something about this earlier, but I think representation is important.
Yes.
So like you said, Crystal, people who look like you.
Yeah.
When you look out there in reference to the self-defense world,
Yeah.
it's a lot of white men and white women. And so when I was, like I said, coming out of law enforcement, low-hanging fruit are people who are in poverty, who have mental illness,
Yes.
who are black and brown,
right.
who
So they're
nobody
easily
is
overlooked.
reaching exactly. So
and they're the more vulnerable,
Exactly.
right? And less likely for
Yes.
people to really hear them
Yeah.
Yes.
and to do something about them. So
so that is why it's important for me to be in this space as well.
Yeah, I think that's excellent, and I'm just always so fearful. I have a niece, but I've always been. When she first came here, she was living in Egypt, and so when she came here, she was 21. I was like terrified that because she didn't understand the language,
culture.
she didn't know the culture, she didn't understand like men. It was just a whole thing. But one of the things that she would do, because she didn't understand the language, she would, if she met a guy, and she's a pretty beautiful young lady, when she met a guy and then they would call, she'd give them the number and they would call and then ask for, then they use slang. So she's barely used to English, and so then they use
whole
slang.
other language.
She go, wait a minute, ask my auntie. So then they would call and I'd say, she wants me to translate. So what are you asking, and where do you want to meet her, and what color car? And then I got to interrogate, right?
Yeah.
And then I got to say, and if you think that she's vulnerable, she's not.
Right.
She knows how to call me, and she knows how to reach me, and I'll have no problem coming to kick your butt. So just know,
that
you better
village.
be your best on your best behavior. But see, a lot of young women don't have that, right?
Yeah, it's different. Like, when I was growing up as well, there was that village. My uncle was like, who are you talking to? Who?
Yeah.
Right.
When somebody would call me on the phone, he would be speaking to him. And this is when I was good and grown. So just imagine, but I had a village of great men who were there for me, and women. So today, with the internet and social media, most communication is nonverbal.
Right.
Nonverbal.
So when you're sitting there texting, you don't know the inflections, you don't know what anybody sounds like, what they look like, you can't read their facial expressions, and that a lot of times, and energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Vibration is important. And that's what your fear, that's when that intuition and those signals will kick in.
Right.
You have to have FaceTime with somebody, and even talk to them on the phone so you can get those signals.
And that's the other thing on the phone, because when you're texting, you're reading it, right? So you're processing, and then they got to come back and it's like, okay, how should I answer this, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you're having a conversation and you listen and you hear somebody take a stop.
Yes, even the silence.
Right, like,
something.
okay, what the heck? Why you got to think about this? Especially if it's a question that should be able to rattle off right here.
Yes.
And so when I was doing online dating, that's what I did. We chit-chat online for like a day. And it's like, okay, now here, give me your phone number.
Yeah.
And let us have some conversation. And I learned very early on that let him talk. I just interjected a few little questions,
Yeah.
and then I just let him ramble on,
Right.
and then I was able to pick out or discern. And did he have a problem with his previous girlfriend? Because they'll tell you everything.
Yes.
If you give them the open floor to have a conversation,
If you get somebody enough rope, they'll hang
they
themselves.
will hang themselves. And that's what I said. And then you go, no. And then if you do go out on a date, and this for anyone that's dating, especially with Tinder and all of these ones that they already have ulterior motives, because the sites are set up for that.
Yes.
It's for casual encounters.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
not that you have to just be cautious
Yeah.
and move strategically when
Right.
you're using those platforms. Because I have friends who've met people online and got married and
Right, me too,
happily
me
ever
too.
after or whatever. But I do this talk as well, like how to swipe right.
Yeah.
And because it's a lot of swiping, so you have to swipe safely.
Right.
And so Domestic Violence Awareness Month is coming up next month. I'm going to do another webinar in reference to safety and online dating and just relating to what you're talking about. Because every day there's another story about somebody getting in the wrong car,
Right.
or the driver was not the driver. It was somebody
Yeah,
different.
I just heard that recently.
Yeah,
that-
so
and with children,
people just
especially,
aren't paying attention.
they're not
So-
paying attention.
I want to share something with you that I did with my ex-girlfriend, and I told her that we should establish a word or color
Yes.
or a phrase that if she's in trouble and I'm speaking to her on the phone, or if I'm within earshot, I can know she's in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm thinking something
That's a
like
good
that would be good to include in
Yes,
your
that's
seminars.
part of your safety plan.
Yes,
I
because-
talk about creating safety
Yeah.
plans.
Uh-huh.
That's a good thing
Exactly,
to do.
because sometimes the person might be on the phone and the perpetrator is next to them, but they can't really
Yes.
say certain
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
So if there's that color, that word that you both established, and they said, purple,
Yeah.
hey, I'm in trouble right now. So come and get me.
Right.
Yes.
So-
or something that you don't do. Like if I were saying, oh, I'm getting ready to eat almonds, and everybody knows that
You're
I'm allergic
allergic.
to
You don't
eat-
almonds,
exactly.
Yes.
or I'm allergic to mushrooms. Like, oh my, I'm having
Exactly.
mushrooms, or oh gosh,
Yeah.
how I hate mushrooms.
Yes.
Now you know I'm in
Yes,
trouble, right?
yes.
And so having those conversations, but if you know the people and they know you, then they
Right.
know what your
Exactly.
your needs are,
Right.
right? And so if I think I saw something the other day, and someone was like, they were asking her, did she want a cup of coffee? And throughout the whole thing, she was saying, no, I don't drink coffee anymore. It makes me too hyper. And then finally, when she's somewhere and she's trying to tell somebody she's in trouble, she goes, oh, and she had to meet somebody, and she goes, here, you can have my cup of coffee. And then they're like, wait a minute, she don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good. That's good.
So, but that again,
Yes.
utilizing
Yeah.
the people in your group or your
yeah.
network that can keep you safe.
Yes. Make a plan that's going to work for you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And your children. It's
Oh,
good for
for
children,
sure,
too.
for sure.
Yeah, because kids, so many parents. I do a class in the summer, a biz camp for kids, and so many parents would send their kids by Uber.
The Uber. Mm-hmm.
And so we would have to go when the Uber driver came up. Then my interns or one of us, or the instructors, we'd go up, check the person, the app, and then make sure it's the same person.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be putting the child
Yeah.
in the car with somebody that
Right.
wasn't.
And they
who-
have a kid Uber now. I don't remember the name
Yeah,
of
I've heard
it, but
about
they're
it. I've heard of it.
specifically for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into a lady at the,
Forgot the
at
name of the business.
Ralph's last week, right up the street from here, and so she says, "This is how." And yeah, I know, my parent wouldn't have never done this, but she says she picks kids up at 4:00 in the morning to take them to school if they're in Southgate, and then they're
Yeah.
going to school in the Valley. She's picking kids
Wow.
up. Kids are out at 4 or 5.
that time?
4. It's dark at 4:00.
See,
in the
I'm
morning.
a
crazy.
big safety buff, when it comes to safety, security, because I'm always thinking someone is going to do something.
Worst case
So-
scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Right,
like that
exactly.
too.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't sit with my back to the door.
No.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was a Jamaican thing.
No, actually, it's police officer thing, but it's
That's
also
part of
a
it,
male
yeah,
thing. Most
exactly.
men like to sit at
We
the front.
never.
Now, if
sit
I'm with
our
a
back to
man,
them.
that's the
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
time.
yeah, 'cause you have to
but it
give-
has to be one I trust.
Right,
They have my
exactly.
back.
Even if I trust them, I'm not putting my back.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
That's
yeah.
true.
So,
I
yeah.
dated a lot of police officers, so they I have to be at the door. Why? And it was, okay, I get
Even
it.
at my home, we have a steel gate, security gate, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm always locking that because you never know. You know, someone might decide to rob someplace and decide they're trying to hide. You don't want them
Yeah.
coming into your house.
It's funny because I'm a realtor here in
Yeah,
LA too.
yeah.
So my broker and I used to go door knocking.
Yeah.
And the way that I would go up to the doors,
Yeah.
he would always tease me. And I'm like, now if they come out with a shotgun.
Exactly. See? That's
But I would go up to the door and then I would stand to the side
Yes.
and have space.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But now he does it too though.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I'm like, you have to be safe. You never
You've got
know.
it, you've got
You
it.
don't know.
Well, look at the
You
young
don't
lady.
know who is behind the door.
Right, and look at the young lady that was the realtor. She was it was an open house.
Yes.
Like my sister,
Yeah.
they only do in open houses in pairs.
Right.
Their office on that's mandatory.
Yes.
But she had said that he was at an open house the week before.
Yeah, she
and
remembered him.
and she felt something weird about him then.
Yeah.
And when he came, and then he kind of lingered. So he was the last one.
Now
there.
she did very well. I watched the video.
Okay.
She did good, and I'm, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, but I
Yeah.
just want people to learn from her incident. She trusted her instinct in reference to not getting lured back into the house.
Exactly.
Right.
And she knew something was
Yeah.
off with this guy, but she still had her guard down. She was on the phone. Her distance was
Yeah.
way too close
Yeah,
to him.
yeah, yeah.
She
Yeah.
took her eyes off of him, which is
Yeah.
how he was able to,
push
push
her.
her
Yeah.
like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
She was like
Yeah.
too close.
Yeah, she should have.
Yeah.
had
She
her
already
eyes
had
on
her. She already knew
Yeah.
she didn't feel safe around
Yeah.
him, and she knew what he was trying to do, but
Right.
she didn't follow through with still holding her ground and preparing for the worst position
Exactly.
possible,
Right.
for the worst thing to
Right,
happen,
right.
and she still had her guard down just a little bit.
Yeah,
Now,
and
did
and
she have pepper spray? Did
No,
have
she
that?
didn't. She had, and she went out the door first, as opposed to ushering him out the door.
Okay.
So he was
I
behind
only saw
her.
when they were at the front.
Yeah.
Yes, she
right,
had
right.
already walked past him and was standing right there at the ledge. He actually looked back up into the
Yeah,
camera.
He did.
He kept doing that.
Yeah, he
kept
looked up
looking
to
at
the camera.
Yes.
But he had also done it to other realtors, and because when they arrested him,
Yeah, they said he had groped some other ones
Yeah.
and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
very dangerous. It's just like, traffic stops. Open houses and
Yeah.
door knocking is
Yeah.
very dangerous for
Yeah.
realtors.
I would
Yeah.
love for us to continue doing this for
This
a long
has been
time.
fun.
Our time has come. And
Yeah, it's been a
unbelievable. We
great
gotta invite you
conversation.
back. Gotta invite
Yes,
you
thank
back.
you.
so tell them how they reach you, how they get your book.
Yes, you can get my book from me directly on the website at myempowereddefense.com. My number is 323-302-2967 and on social media at Empowered Defense.
And your name again?
My name again is Tonda Linsey. You can text FFEAR to 31996 to get on the list and get all the goodies.
And
Perfect.
Swivel.
Swivel to safety, yes.
That's right.
Keep
All
your
right.
head on a swivel.
and you guys can go get her book so you can find out what that really
Yes.
means. Follow her on Instagram. She's got some great videos I saw. And next time she has a defense class, we'd love to all be.
Actually, we're going to do one, I think, for the audience here.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's what Dawn wanted to
Yeah,
do.
so Dawn, when she opens up her new studio. Yeah, because
So-
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
that'd be awesome.
So we'll try to get her back on the show. because
Yeah.
There's a lot we haven't covered. And
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring you in like a quarter. There's a
it's so
big
much.
issue. We'll bring you in so you can
Right.
quarterback.
Never
your
enough
Monday-
time,
your
yes.
Monday night quarterback,
Yeah.
so
Love
we
it.
can learn from those. You got anything going on?
Well, I can't think of it now because
All right. So it's been another great Friday. RBD meeting coming up. Oh, I do have to tell you guys this. If you want to get into the RBD resource guide, Recycling Black Dollars resource guide for 2020, our membership drive has started and our advertising drive has started because we want to make sure that we're supporting each other's business. If we don't know you exist, we can't support you. So don't be the best kept secret in Los Angeles. You are in business to make money, and we can't support you. So check our website, and I will be sending out a notice, a blast, and you can get for the first 100 calls, you can get your ad, half-page ad and membership for $200, and it's worth it because we also want to rebate or refer you. So make sure you reach out to me at 323-447-7272 to find out how you can get your ad into the Black Business Resource Guide. Recycling Black Dollars has been publishing this book for 15 years, and it's kind of important that we know where our Black businesses are located. Okay.
Very good, very good. So, again, this has been another wonderful show on the Business Zone. Tuning every Friday from 3 to 4. And if you need to call us, our phone number is 323-293-3375. And you're listening to
Krista.
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. We're out.
All right. See you next week.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control.